I wanted to talk now that we're in the beginning of the new year in 2026. I wanted to talk about how you can approach your goal of learning a language this year. I want to talk about mainly how to get started, what not to do, and really what to do. Um, so first, what not to do to learn a language? I think it's somewhat easier to start off with what you should not do rather than what you should. Um, so the first thing to not do that many people do is focus on grammar. A lot of people think, okay, let me go back to what we did in school. I want to learn Spanish. In school, we start off, we got a grammar textbook and we started learning about the noun case or how verbs are constructed in the different tenses or in the present tense. This is a mistake. The reason this is a mistake is you'll get hopelessly bogged down. You'll never remember all these various grammar rules. You're way better off trying to acquire it naturally. The second thing people do is they try to focus on memorization. So, again, in school, and a lot of these bad habits go to what we were taught in school. In school, we were taught, hey, we have a vocab unit or unit. There's a specific set of vocabulary attached to that unit. I'm going to memorize this set of vocabulary via flashcards. And then the next unit, I'll toss out all the vocabulary that I learned and I'll learn a new set of vocabulary. And then this is usually in conjunction with the grammar textbook. That, again, is a mistake. You won't remember nearly enough words using that methodology, and you'll get hopelessly burnt out and you'll be pretty bored. The third thing people do is they try to follow a guided course. And it's not that guided courses are necessarily bad. The problem with guided courses, I find, is that they are hopelessly boring. You're following first, this is the airplane unit, they're going to the airport and learning about, I don't know, when Harry decided to fly to New Mexico. It's extremely, it's repetitive, boring, and I just find it doesn't work. I think you'll get demotivated. And one of the major things to success in language learning is motivation. It's what keeps us going, and it's what keeps us pushing through the hard times to acquire these languages. So now that we know what not to do, what should we do? Um, I think the key to learning languages, or at least beginning, is acquiring a large vocabulary. And the way to acquire a large vocabulary is massive input. And by input, I mean a ton of reading and listening. Um, the reason this is important is when you just read and you listen to what the language is, you will naturally acquire both the vocabulary to understand and to produce the language, but also the structures of the language, the grammar, everything that makes up what the language is. You will start to intuit it from just continual reading and listening. So to help with that, we created this tool called Lingua Verbum, which is basically a tool that accelerates your ability to use that reading and listening model to understand the vocabulary, capture the grammar structures, and accelerate your language learning process this year. So the core foundation of the tool is your goal is to basically increase your number of known words. Um, so these are words that basically you know in the language. What you'll experience is the more known words that you have in a language, the more that you'll be able to read and listen and understand the language, but you'll also be able to produce the language as well because you'll have that vocabulary background. And with your known word count, additionally is subconsciously those grammatical structures are absorbed into your brain. And so as your known word count increases, which is basically a function of you reading and listening, the your understanding of the grammar and your understanding of the language will increase. Um, so, like I said, your goal is to increase your known word count. And the amount of words you know really corresponds to these sort of different language learning levels, which are basically just like that CFR language learning scale that you might know about. So what you can see is we've developed these language learning levels based off of your known word count. And for a language like Italian, it varies by language, but for a language like Italian, you need 720 known words to basically be a beginner one or an A1 level person. To be a beginner two, you would need 2,160 known words. That's kind of like an A2. A B1 or intermediate one, you need 8,700. Intermediate two, 17,000. And then sort of, this is that fluent level, I would say. C1, you need 29,000 known words. Um, so I just started Italian for the new year, and I'm up to 179 known words. So I haven't even hit that A1 level. I'm still considered a new learner. But so you might be asking, okay, how do I get known words in this tool, and how does it help with that? So I'll show you that. So in our tool, you can basically import different types of files like any other language learning software, but you can import YouTube videos, books, podcasts, or just raw text files, or you can generate content. I find when you're just starting learning a language, this generate content feature is extremely helpful because what you can do is you can go in here, you can generate content of any type that you want, so like article, etc. You can choose the difficulty level. So since I'm a complete beginner, I would select that. And then you can choose a topic that's interesting to you. So for me, I'm very interested in Rome, so I would type in like history of Rome. And then you can choose a length. And then I would just hit generate here, and then that will bring me to that article. Since I've already generated this, I'll just click on it here. So this is a generated article about the history of Rome in Italian. So what you'll see when it pops up, the first thing you'll notice is basically the words are colored and different colors. And so what do those colors mean? Blue words are words that you have never seen before and never clicked on to get a definition. Once you click on it, that will bring up this right-hand panel with our AI assistant. So I'll show you what that looks like. So let's click on fratelli. If I click on that word here, you can see that brings up the right-hand panel. And here's that word fratelli. And the translation is brothers. This is the contextual definition translation. So what you'll notice is that word now has turned from blue to orange. What orange means is these are words that I've clicked on in the past in any other file that I've uploaded, any podcast, video, etc. These are basically words that I've seen before in a different context and seen the definition. Now, if I know what that word is, so let's say I click on a word that maybe I already know, or let's pretend that fratelli I'd seen before and I understand that it means brothers. If I wanted to mark it as a word that I know and increase my known word count, I would simply just mark it as known here, and you can see it turns black. So you can see the number of words that I've learned in this file is increased by 1. And so what that does is now if I go back, my known word count has increased from 178 to 179. And so it's putting me on my way to getting that beginner one status here of hitting A1 of 720 known words. So basically what I would do when I'm starting a language is I would just read through this text and just struggle through it. I would use my right-hand side assistant panel here to translate the sentences, break down any grammar elements so I can just get a rough understanding of what each word is doing in the sentence. Very quick, rough. I'm not deep diving into the grammar. I'm just kind of seeing like, okay, This word dice means says in the sentence. La legenda means the legend, blah, blah, blah. And I get a rough understanding of what the sentence means. So I struggle through the sentence, clicking on words to see definitions, any ones that I've seen in the past. I try and think about it and really think like, what does the word mean? So I can mark it as known. If not, I just continue through. I don't struggle that hard though. I don't force it. I just like I don't try to use this as a test. I just kind of try and enjoy my experience and see what I pick up as I go. Um, and what I do is I do this for this text, and then I generate some more text, or I import an article, et cetera, et cetera. And I keep doing this over and over again until I really start to understand the language. So I'll go to Dutch here, which I've been learning for a lot longer. So you can see I'm an intermediate one. So I have 7,472 known words. And at this point, I can start reading books, importing videos, and I always try to basically maintain my interest in the language. So I only really just read stuff about that I'm interested in. So, for example, this book Rubicon, I'll show you what a uploaded ebook looks like. You can see here it's very similar, but we can see a lot more of the words are black than that Italian thing, that Italian text that I was showing you. Um, and this is obviously a much more complicated text with more complex vocabulary. But over time, you just sort of pick up the language, how it's structured, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so we have other materials on our channel about you know different things you can do on lingua verbum to get started, different aspects of the tool. But I think that's what I would encourage people to try out is basically this comprehensible input method using our tool or any other tool, to be honest. Um, and just try and focus on reading texts, listening to texts, and naturally over time picking up the vocabulary, which will bring with it the grammatical structures and the understanding and the ability to even produce the language. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's helpful to your 2026 language learning journey, and to at least getting started or to exploring what's out there. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions about anything that you might want to hear about, specifics on different tips or tools to get started in 2026. Hope that was helpful.